The best of the Morning X. 99X.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Morning X stage the Bacon Brothers, Kevin and Michael. Hey, guys. Uh-oh.
Good morning.
Give me a test there, Kev.
Testing.
There they are.
Thanks for coming in this early. Is this when you guys are on tour? I mean, do you often get up early, do the radio thing?
Sometimes. We haven't done that much morning stuff, but it's okay. You know,
It's worth it, though. People are going to hear your music.
Darn right.
Like
Yeah.
6 people.
we're
And
happy
you're
to be
here on time.
When I listen to the radio in the morning, I get very tired of hearing people complain about how early it is. Man, it's so early.
Yeah, it's so early.
Right. Yeah.
Sucks. I have to be here.
Take a nap, you know.
And do you have to go through if you're going to sing this early? Will you do some vocal warm-ups in the shower? Or
yeah, we have vocal warm-ups, and the other day we were doing it in the hall, and they complained they thought there were dogs howling. And it's a very unpleasant thing to listen to.
They don't sound good, and they don't look good either.
Michael, you were pursuing your music career all along. When did the two of you decide to do this together as brothers?
It was about 5 years ago, and we really just did it for one gig. A friend of Kevin's from Philly asked us to come down. He'd heard some tapes we'd done, and so we played the one gig, and I was terrified, not so much for what I was going to do, but what my brother might possibly do in front of a whole bunch of people in an audience. But
Thank you for that vote of confidence.
Still terrified. But he really was, first of all, he really enjoyed it. And I don't think he expected to, nor did I expect him to enjoy it. And he was actually really good at it. So somebody said, why don't you play this gig here? And one thing led to the next, and we did a CD, and now we're in Atlanta.
Well, does it bother you, Michael, at all when people come just to stare at Kevin?
Well, every band needs an audience.
But you get those people that could care less what you're singing about or what, who just come because of his movie career. Does it bother you or you, Kevin? Because you're serious musicians.
I think they're always, we have a celebrity in the band, and we accept that. We don't try to hide it. And there are good things about it, and there are negative things. But overall, you sort of let the negative things, roll off your back. And
hopefully
they,
by the second or third song, they're into the music.
Exactly.
That's what we. That was the same question, by the way, that was asked to the members of Dog Star.
And they had a little different of an answer.
Keanu Reeves band.
Right.
Yeah. They chose to ignore that Keanu Reeves was Keanu Reeves. It was almost like, no, he's not a movie star.
Although we don't ignore it. We embrace it.
Although your fans, your movie fans are probably a little more mature than he got. A lot of the screaming teens and a lot of the, you don't really get that much
of screaming teens.
Screaming teens. I mean,
I haven't been a teenager for so long.
We have to clear something up. This is the weirdest thing because off air we were talking about Kevin's wife, Kira Sedgwick, because just a couple of months ago, kept on reading in the paper about, Kira Sedgwick was spotted at Bones dining, here, or spotted out at the Palm with Denzel Washington. It was in the paper several times, and people called in to say, yeah, I saw Kira Sedgwick last night. And you're saying
Kevin wasn't even in Atlanta.
As far as I know, unless I'm sleeping with an imposter. She's been in New York.
She's never been here?
Well, no, I mean
she's been here, but not recently.
She was never. I don't think she's ever worked here, and she was here. We were touring around probably, I guess, a year and a half or 2 years ago, and we stopped in Atlanta, and we were on the Planet Hollywood plane, and she got out, and she was on the plane with us, and walked towards the baggage claim because I think she was tired of waiting for her bag and wanted to get it off herself, and walked into the wing and cut her head open. And had to go and have some emergency plastic surgery in Atlanta, but that was the last time she was here. She hasn't been back since. So.
Those restaurants make that crap up all the time. Hey, that girl looks like Kira Sedgwick. Put it in the Put it in the memo for the next print.
Right, a girl that looked like Kira Sedgwick was here dining, but leave out the a girl who looked like part.
Right.
I wanted to ask you about the new CD, Getting There. It's on an independent label. Have you guys ever been approached by a major label?
Well, we've tried to approach them. None of them have been interested so far.
Have you sold this on the internet? Do you have a website?
Sure. Yeah,
what's your website?
baconbros.com.
Baconbros.com.
Yep.
Easy.
Now,
is the label you guys? Do you own the label?
No.
No,
it's a
What's
real
the name of the label? I didn't know if it was something you had formed.
It's in the basement.
Bluxo, BLUXO.
These days,
Records.
it could be.
Actually, it's called Helena Music. That's
Helena.
the name of it.
Yeah,
label.
That's a new label.
Do you think that because on the one hand you can say, well, because Kevin's in the band, it will attract people, but on the other hand, have you ever felt that maybe like music people won't take it seriously because it's just another actor who wants to play.
No,
You know.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, in terms of the record business, I don't think it's a positive at all. I mean, for one thing, they have a hard time picturing how I'm going to really be involved in album support. You know what I mean? Because if we're like an emerging band, we're we're like a although we're not 19, we're a bunch of 19-year-old guys that get together and put a band together. You know, and you need to devote your life to touring with the record and stuff like that. And the other thing about it is that if there had been a precedent of a singer-songwriter band that was, had an actor in it and it had really taken off, I think then the record industry would sort of be more interested in it.
They'd be signing every one of them.
Yeah, but as far as I know, I can't really think of one. I realized the other day that the closest thing was, you remember when Keith Carradine had a hit on...
Yes.
Yeah, it was in the
Easy.
70s. Yeah, right.
I'm Easy. And
But that did come out of a movie.
Well, and
though.
David's
came out of a
David's
movie.
Soul in the
As a national.
70s, and even Travolta had
But they
one
were
in the
all
70s, but
really one-hit deals.
And we're more like a kind of a singer-songwriter band, and so I think it's just a little bit different. But that being said, I'm kind of happy the way that things have happened because we've gotten a chance over the last 5 years to really work on the music and work on the songs and work on the live show, and it's been a lot better and healthier for us to do it that way than if somebody swooped down and said, hey, we're gonna make you a star. And
Let it happen organically.
yeah, it's really happening organically. Which is
if you were
better.
starting from scratch today and you had your choice, you could either achieve the success that you've achieved in movies or achieved a parallel success in music. And I'm sure you've been asked this before. Which would you choose?
Isn't it tough to answer? They're already
Yeah.
having the
Well-
success on one side.
No, it is tough because I really love them both, and I never dreamed when I set out to be an actor that we would get a chance to do this. And when we get up and play, or we record, or even doing something like this, it's like a dream come true because I dreamed of playing music with my brother, especially since I was a little kid. But I love being an actor, and I love making movies, and that's been I've devoted my whole life to it.
You've
So
made some good ones, no
hard
doubt
to-
about it.
Any new movies coming out, Kevin?
I got a movie that is.
You always have a movie coming out. That's a stupid question.
I got a couple. There's a movie that's a family film that they're trying out in Austin, Texas, and Columbus, Ohio, called My Dog Skip, and it's a low budget movie. If it works there, they're going to take it wide. It's about a boy and his dog. I see the dogs running around here. So
we had
people
no
that-
power for. Well,
great.
he still has no power, so brought the dogs
Wow.
in.
Well,
I
yeah.
usually don't look like this just when I have no electricity in the house for 3 days.
Oh, I know. It must be crazy. I'll tell you. The hotel that we're at is filled with kids, families. They're
Yes.
all camping out there. I was thinking, why are all these kids staying in a hotel?
Yeah.
And then
He's
I
so
realized
proud that he figured this out.
When you were,
Heard
you
this
guys,
about
do you
10
live in the hills in L.A.?
No, we never lived in L.A. Never will.
Were you New
Really?
York?
Yeah.
Really?
You
Both
would-
of you do.
Yeah.
You just don't like the city, or don't want to bring kids up there, or what's the?
Just not my thing.
Really?
Yeah.
You like the small, compact, big city as opposed to sprawling out all over the place?
Michael and I grew up in right in the center of Philadelphia, and I moved to New York when I was 17, and it's just I'm just happier there. It's hard to, I think the whole L.A. versus New York thing gets a little old, and I've had some good times in L.A., and certainly I need to go there a lot because of business and stuff, but we're just East Coast people.
Kevin, you've hosted a bunch of shows on VH1. I'd like to ask both of you your biggest musical influence. Michael, let's start with you.
I would have to say Pete Seeger. I mean, that goes a long way back, but probably nobody's ever heard of him. But he's a
Sure.
folk singer, and
Sure.
he was he wrote me a postcard when I was a little kid, and it made a big difference to me. Just to get a postcard from one of my gods, and I guess that. And also, I'm very influenced by classical music and art music. I've always had sort of a parallel career of pop music, and which is what I do for a living, writing film scores. So it's been a good, satisfying musical career that I have.
What movies have you scored?
Well, I scored a director named Kevin Bacon hired me to do his first directorial debut called Losing Chase, starring
Must be
Keira
a new guy. I
Sedgwick.
haven't heard of him.
Starring Keira Sedgwick. How did you get her in that?
Wow.
Actually, she was the
Which-
producer. It's more like, how did we get the gig?
Right. Which movie was it?
It's called Losing Chase.
Okay.
It was made for Showtime, and it came out really well. Michael did a great job.
Kevin, you didn't answer what your biggest musical influence.
Oh, my biggest music.
Yeah.
I'd have to say my brother.
It's very nice.
Because and I'm not just being nice. I mean, when I grew up, he was already playing in bands, and I remember sitting on the steps in the basement, listening to his bands rehearsing, and then his albums were around, and of course, in terms of an influence, he brought home, the first Beatles records and the first Stones records, and Big Brother and the Holding Company, and
he kind of laid out the path for you.
Yeah, and so I started listening to rock music when I was a little kid, and I was a huge fan of music and of pop radio,
right?
And so I'd have to say him.
Well, we had David Bowie up here one time, and ironically, he also credited Michael Bacon as being his
That's amazing.
biggest musical influence. It was,
Kevin and Michael Bacon are here. Got a much more serious question, Kevin, regarding your wife, Kira Sedgwick, and her thoughts when you would come home after a hard day's work on the set of Wild Things. Was there ever any? Is there ever? I mean, that had to be fun.
Wild Things was a lot of fun, but I mean, down in Miami and stuff. I mean, I guess you're referring to the women who were involved in
Exactly.
that.
Right.
My question is, if I was you and I had that job, that tough job of going 12 hours to go see these women run around and do their thing in this movie, and then I had to come home to my wife, I'd get all kind of questions.
Well, it's kind of a part of our life.
I know
it
is,
it's
but
and the
still,
shoe's been on the other foot.
she's a woman.
The shoe's been on the other foot too. So she's, I mean, whatever.
Does she say?
acting.
Does she ever get that
trust
little?
is like a part of it. But I'll tell you, the story of my life is that, for instance, Wild Things. There's that scene where
that scene.
they get that. Well, not the one with Matt.
The one with Matt
of
is
course,
the-
I'm
is
not
the
in
scene.
that one.
Right,
Right.
right.
That's not. I don't get that part.
Right.
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 But there's also the scene where they're in the pool and they're making out, and I'm watching that. In fact, I'm videotaping it in the movie, and of course they did my coverage. Which they shot the shot of me going like this,
Right.
And they said, "Okay, you're wrapped. You can go at home."
Okay, bring in the women. Kev, you can leave. Bring in the women.
That was so real. Good work. You're out of here.
Life is not fair.
I'm guessing you stuck around on the set that day just to, see what the movie was.
When you
turned out
say
to
the
be.
shoe's been on the other foot, what movie has she done where when she comes home, you're like,
What are the steamy movies that she? What steamy sections has she had?
She had a thing with Travolta and Phenomenon.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, that is. Yeah, I forgot about that.
And she had some stuff in singles, and I mean,
Right.
she's done a lot of. That's just
Makes you a little jealous, even though
the
the
way it
trust
goes.
is there. It's still, although they're acting, they're still doing.
I don't know. I think it's kind of sexy.
Sure.
Really?
What's your favorite Kira Sedgwick movie?
I'd have to say Losing Chase because I directed.
There you
Okay.
go, Kevin Bacon.
Good answer. That's a good politically correct answer. That won't get you in any trouble. Yeah. Some of the films that you've been in, you probably make a wider range of choices than most other actors. Do you just get offered a wider range of parts, or do you seek them out? Is there a kind of part that you constantly get offered that you just don't want to do anymore?
Well, I became an actor because, like I said, I wanted to do as many different kinds of things as possible. If I do one picture and I've done a certain kind of part, then I want to do something different the next time. And the thing about it is if you can either say, all right, the size of the movie, the budget of the movie, the size of my salary is the first thing that I'm concerned about or the last thing that I'm concerned about. And if you make it the last thing that you're concerned about, you're going to get a chance to do a whole bunch more different kinds of movies and different kinds of parts.
Early on, isn't it the first thing you think about, though? The size of that check sometimes? Early on, as opposed to now?
Early on, I mean, I needed,
Got to get the base.
I needed money to, to eat.
Right, you got to live.
But I'll tell you the truth, when I got Animal House was my first movie.
Yeah, you were in the bad frat, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And I have had so little concept of, how much, what money was really about. And it was $785 a week was what scale was.
Man.
And I thought that was like silly money, crazy
That's
money.
huge, Jack, right.
I was insane.
You were living large.
Living large. And I got back from doing Animal House, and I spent the money in about a week and a half.
Did you just get stupid with it?
And I was back in the restaurant.
Just go buy a toy.
Back, I bought things, but I wouldn't call them toys.
Some of the movies I've enjoyed you the most in, like River Wild. Is it called River Wild?
River Wild, yeah.
Love that movie. I like Stir of Echoes last summer.
That was great.
You are in every movie, though. It's got to be great. I mean, your agent must be just, on the phone.
You work a lot.
You have a good
you
agent.
Work a lot.
Yes.
What was Murder in the First your most difficult role, would you say?
The movie that I just finished, The Hollow Man, which is coming out in the summer, this was probably the most difficult thing I've ever done. For one thing, it took about 9 months. And
wow.
I play the Invisible Man, and it was just technically really, really hard. I mean, Murder in the First was, emotionally
right,
kind of like wiped me out. But Hollow Man, physically and mentally, was the hardest thing I've ever done.
The other day, weren't we talking about where would you go for an hour if you were invisible?
If you
were
take
invisible.
an invisible pill for an hour, what would you do?
Well, that's what this movie is kind of based on.
Really?
Is it?
It's based on that. On if you tap into that concept and you think about whether or not it would create or encourage a certain kind of evil that might already be lurking in your heart, and the power and all that. That's what this picture's about.
Where would you go? What would you do for 1 hour?
If you had 1 hour.
But ironically, Barnes and I, not knowing each other's answer, picked the exact same thing.
1 hour.
You have 1 hour, you're invisible, you can get away with whatever you want, do whatever you want. What would it be?
I don't know. I don't know.
Michael?
That's a tough one. Yeah, I'd have to think about that.
One guy had a good answer. He would go down on the Super Bowl on the floor and just wreak havoc.
Start tripping guys.
Blocking
Start
kicks,
tripping guys.
just doing the
That's
whole
pretty
thing.
funny. That was pretty creative.
That was
pretty
good.
Start
yeah.
tripping guys.
We both said we'd go to the Oval Office and hang out and check out the scene. We may
Sneak
be
in.
about 2 years too late.
Right, we
but
missed some of the
hey.
activity, but
Yeah, that would be interesting. I don't know.
Is watching Footloose kind of like looking at your high school yearbook for you, or do you look at it and say, yeah, that was cool?
I mean, I was about 24, I think, when I did Footloose.
Right,
so.
but you know how it is when you look at your high school yearbook and you go, oh my God, what was I? Look at what I was wearing, and
No, frankly, I don't watch Footloose.
yeah.
Yeah, Jimmy goes home every week.
No, but I mean, it's
Honey!
because they did the Broadway
again.
play, and it came up again because they put it on Broadway.
I saw the
and
show.
all
I
that.
saw the Broadway show, and it made me feel old.
Did it really? Yeah.
Those kids jumping around.
And I want to try something here because
You're killing me
and
with
it's
that
not
Kev
the,
thing.
and it's
I know.
not the. Well, his name is Kevin. That's what you call.
His name's Kevin.
It's fine. You can call me Ray, or you can call me Jay.
All right. Because and by the way, we're not going to ask you about or to play the Kevin Bacon game.
No.
We will
God
not do
bless
that.
you. We didn't bring it up.
We did not bring that up.
God bless you.
It's because that's
Yeah,
Hey.
right. All right. It's not.
You're over that.
Yeah, you're over that.
You didn't bring it up. Right?
You didn't bring
Well, but
What
I'm not.
would
We're
you
not
call
going to.
what you just did.
Well, because when I said we want to do something, I saw you kind of look at your shoes and
Oh,
have that.
God.
Oh, no, here comes the
No.
Kevin
No.
Bacon
I
game.
gotta admit, that's what I thought was coming.
No,
read a
it's
list.
not.
Let me read a short list of celebrities for you: John Voight, Dustin Hoffman, Will Smith, David Bowie, Bob Costas, Conan O'Brien, Steve Martin, and Tom Brokaw. Now, we do a thing on this show called the Fish Quiz. And in the history of the 6 years of our show, they've all done the Fish Quiz. And only one celebrity has actually ever not wanted to do the Fish
Warren
Quiz. Only
Beatty.
Warren
Dustin
Beatty did the
Hoffman.
Fish Quiz. Only one
What are
celebrity's
you
ever
trying to
turned
say?
this
Get
down.
to the point.
So I'm supposed to
And
guess who it is?
It was you.
Oh,
You're the
was it?
only one.
It was you. It was at
And
a...
we kind of resented that for a while, but
We
now that we see
did,
you're a
but,
nice
you
We
know,
took
guy.
it personally.
we took it
We know you're a
personally.
nice guy now.
What was the Fish Quiz?
it was...
Although it was at a Wild Things junket in
was-
L.A.
it was
and
at a
you
Wild-
shoved a mic
right.
in your face. So
Right. It was the Wild Things junket. That's right.
Uh-huh.
It's where you have to name... and I have the tape of you saying no somewhere, which I was
that's good. You gotta
like...
play that.
You're like, the what? You're like, the what?
The
You
what?
blame him?
you were like,
Gotta go.
I'm not going to do that shit.
Yeah,
You know.
Hey, I heard that.
he said shit.
Stuff. I said stuff.
Oh.
It's a 15-second quiz
Yeah.
in which you name as many fish as you can.
Okay.
All right, it's a
Very
speed
simple.
game. It's a speed game.
But it's anything underwater that's living.
If
All right.
if you like
Anything
the band Sister Hazel, the lead singer Ken Block is
Yeah, he's
actually
the
the
champion.
champ
Okay.
of that.
You ready?
Yeah, on your mark, get set, Kevin Bacon, Fish Quiz, go.
Grouper, shad, trout, shark, swordfish, squid, Portuguese man o' war, starfish, trumpetfish.
Oh, 8.
I got 9.
The record was 19.
19.
Yeah,
19.
speed.
It was
Speed
pretty-
was definitely key. Guys, we appreciate you getting up early.
Kevin
hanging
Michael
out.
Bacon.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot.
You're listening to the best of the Morning X. You can also catch it on the Morning X podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, or at 99x.com.